Been known to volunteer before.
Like a pool boy.
Be voluntold.
All right, I think we're live. Do I got to mute you guys? I think we're live. Hello, God bless, and welcome. I'm Kevin Haggerty. You're watching the Godlogic Project, where we discuss maintaining a Christian worldview in a post-Christian America. As you know, a lot of the Godlogic Project story, a lot of my personal story is a story of recovery from drugs and alcohol. It's been a while for me, but I've got three folks in here that are going to share their message, their experience, strength, and hope with everyone. Give them an idea of what happened, what it was like, what it's like now, and kind of talk about early recovery. So we're going to focus really on the community, on getting your life back when you first quit drinking and drugging. We're going to do all that right here, live on the Godlogic Project. But first, the intro music. Hello, God bless, and welcome. I'm Kevin Haggerty, and this is the Godlogic Project.
Shut up, Kevin.
I'm Kevin Haggerty. That's Mike Houston telling me to shut up. Guys, feel welcome to tell me to shut up whenever you like.
Shut up, Kevin.
Not whenever you like.
Oh, there he is.
All right, feel free to tell me to shut up whenever I like.
Thank you, Kevin.
We've got three people in the audience here. In the audience in the studio.
We got a big
today.
audience, folks. A big audience.
We got three people in the studio today that apparently are sober, but I'm not 100% sure that I'm buying into that. I've already muted Sarkis.
It's for sale.
So one guy in the studio is already muted, and I'll do it to everybody. Don't think I won't. So we're going to go around the room. First of all, we're going to go around the room, introduce you to our guests. They're going to take a few minutes, kind of tell a little bit about themselves, where they've been, where they come from, where they are now, and that way you guys kind of get an idea of where we're going with this show and how we're doing it. Our first guest, who's going to introduce himself, America's favorite pool boy, Matt. What's up, Daddy?
Hey, what's up, guys? How
what
y'all
up,
doing?
Daddy?
I appreciate you bringing me out here, Kev. My name is Matt. I'm a guy in recovery, and I found hope in recovery through a 12-step program, and I'm here to share my experience, strength, and hope with y'all. I just want to give a shout-out. I don't know if he's watching. The guy up in New York, buddy of mine, we talked about 8 months ago, and he was going through some stuff, and I got a message from him maybe like 45 days ago, and he's like, man, I haven't talked to you in so long, and I'm like, what's going on, man? He's like, dude, so much stuff has happened. I got caught at my job. Something happened at my work. They put me in a rehab, and the guy's got 41 days sober today, and it's just an honor and privilege to have that kind of stuff happen in my life today, and I'm just, I hope you're watching, buddy, and I'm praying for you and your family, and I'm glad things are good. So anyway, he messaged me this morning. He hit the final box on his Super Bowl pool.
Oh, really?
So
how much did he get?
$4,000. I said, hey,
$4,000?
I said, hey, you got to give it away to keep it. I'll take a money order.
Would he be interested in supporting the Godlogic Project?
He sent me a gift with, so good for him, though.
Did you tell him I can get him into heaven?
I did.
I'm a pastor. I can pull that off. I'm gonna sell indulgences, and so people spend less time in purgatory. The last time somebody tried to do that, it started a reformation. So, and then Michelle, what's your name, Michelle?
My name's Michelle Prince.
Michelle Prince. Now, Michelle is the one person in the studio that I didn't know before tonight. I was a little worried, but I got to tell you, she's one of the guys. She's awesome. Tell us a little bit about your story, Michelle.
All right, so I got sober when I was 23. I don't have anything moving to share like Matt, but all right, so I don't know. I started drinking at a young age.
Don't pay attention to him. I'm running the show.
Are we doing the like what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now?
Yeah, just kind of give them an idea where you come from, so they get an idea of who you are and what your story's like.
All right, so I'm from Newport Richey, Florida. I was born and raised here. I started drinking at a young age, and then before long, my disease started taking over my life, and then alcohol ceased to be a luxury. It became a necessity, and I was introduced to AA through a therapist, and after my first meeting, I've stuck around for the last 2 years.
So you and I have a very similar story, because I got sober at 21, and I started drinking very early. In fact, my first trip to AA was when I was 16, and
wow.
so it was My dad used to say I was ripe on the vine and rotten before I hit the ground, which is fairly accurate.
I always question if you ever drank. Though.
Yeah, because I'm so young, it's hard to believe. Is that what you were thinking?
Oh, it's from the day I met him. Very questionable.
All right, then our third guest with the
the past
microphone
you
boom
lie
in
a
his
lot.
face is my friend Sarcacandi. Is that Latin? Sarcophagus. I'm sorry, Sarcus.
We stay anonymous in a program of recovery.
Oh, don't worry, I can't pronounce your name anyway. Your secret's safe with me.
Oh, my gosh. I want to thank the good Lord for bringing me out tonight.
I want to thank him, too. I'm glad to have you guys here.
Amen.
Kevin's messing around with my name.
So
The name is Sarkeesian.
Sarkeesian. So your first name and your last name are the same. That seems shifty to a lot of people.
It's Shifty Sarkis. Get
Sarkis.
it right.
So
Anyways,
Tell him
I'm
about
gonna guess
Tell him
you-
about the coin bank.
I'm gonna
well, back in the day, you know.
I'm gonna guess you're not from Newport Richie. Am I
Hey,
right?
I was born in Newport Richie, you know, Newport Roxy, whatever they called it back in the day. I came around. We did it all. From here to the Gulfview Mall. I strolled 19, baby.
You'd have the Gulfview Mall yourself now. That would be awesome.
I am in the Gulfview Mall. You've seen me there.
All right,
Anyways,
so tell us your story.
well, the story is I got on a jet back in 2006. Whoosh, flew here.
Was that the sound it made?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyways, alcohol, similar to my friend here to my right, stopped becoming a luxury probably after the age of 18.
Huh.
It became everything. That and the criminal activity and everything else that we were involved in back home. Shout out to those who probably should be listening and watching me. Hey, damn, I look good. Anyway,
All right, so we can see one of the microphones
Program
will be
of
getting
attraction.
muted for tonight's show.
I'm going to be banned before I even get my name out there, man. You want my help? Call me. Anyways, I started drinking around 8 years old.
I'm going
I
to
had
start drinking in about 8 minutes.
This man is a trigger, and I'm working on him tomorrow with my group. Anyways, so I began my little journey around the age of 13. Blacked right out. Had a small Chinaman bring me up to my house.
Oh, haven't we all?
Yeah, exactly. It was Vietnamese, actually. The
Yeah.
dude picked me up physically, brought me up 2 flights of stairs. I threw straight up, came back down, pulled the Bon Scott, rock on. Here I am today. Thought I could handle it. Said, I'm never going to do that again. Got back right into it a couple of weeks later. Progression hit me faster than most people would. Had a pretty good job back in Massachusetts as a mill guy. It was a union gig. I was a union steward.
Yeah.
So I used to chop my cocaine, because I know we could talk about those things, my cocaine, and my drinking was done on my shift. Now, my shift, mind you, was 3 days. That's it. Just come in for 3 days sober. Start on Wednesday, end on Sunday. No. I start on Wednesday, end on Wednesday. Start on Wednesday, end on Wednesday. And it was just a revolving cycle.
So,
A couple of times they threw me out. The last time a friend of mine, a mutual friend of mine and Matt's, helped me out, said, get back on a plane, come down here. I said, sure. Now you can't drink. I said, oh, I don't like to fly. Well, the first night I got here, I met your green team of Pinellas County. They were great.
Oh,
I had
yeah.
a shotgun put right to my head. I said, all right, I'm back home again. Yeah.
So it was probably the cops. It probably wasn't you, bro.
Huh?
I don't blame you. It was probably the cops.
It wasn't even for us, actually. It was for the Chinamans next door peddling their bullshit. Excuse my language, God. But anyways. So I drank for about a year down here from 2006 to about 2007. Got into a little accident right here at Trouble Creek in front of that 7-Eleven. I was up here partying with a bunch of people from Lawrence, where I'm from. Went through a windshield. Here's the killer. With the drunk driver I never met. We got hit by a drunk driver I never met. Went through the windshield. You see that, right? Got a nice little payday, $25K. Went out to Houston, Texas. Or was it Dallas? I don't know. I was sober by the time I came back. I wasn't. Drove back home. Found out my payday was in. I thought I hit the lottery. St. Petersburg is a lovely place full of bar rooms.
If you got 25 grand, it's awesome to live
Hey,
there.
hey, man. It's a great thing. I
So
didn't even get to cocaine and hookers
So
yet, man.
you realize you're not speaking tonight, right?
It was supposed to be a brief intro.
Oh, sorry. Well, never ask me here again. I'll go with my ball. Anyways, I got sober. I've been going good since 2007. Get a sponsor, go to meetings, and shut up. It's fun here.
All right, so we're not a glum lot.
No, sorry for that, folks.
I think that's fair to say. Well, before we kind of dig further into their stories and what they've been doing, I know Matt's story. So I had a front row seat to Matt's recovery for the last 3 years or 3.5 years or whatever it's been.
Sign my arm.
So
Matt.
I've had the opportunity to see Matt from really a very broken place, a very lost place, to be just an inspiration to people around here. So I'm interested to hear, guys, what your stories are. First, I want to thank our audience for shopping at Amazon through the Godlogic.com website. If you go to Godlogic.com, click on the Amazon logo, shop as normal. Amazon sends $1 or $2 to the Godlogic Project, help to pay for this studio and all this stuff. I want to thank you guys also for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, share the content, comment, thumbs up, thumbs down. Only thing is, if you give it a thumbs down, give me a comment too so I know what you didn't like about it. And I'm going to try to answer all the comments as long as I can do so with gentleness and respect. So if I can't do it with God and love first, it may take me a while to answer your comment. So it's good to have everybody here. We're going to kind of put things into perspective for people. I think we're going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to show you some before pictures. So we're going to go to Michelle first now. Michelle, you're now 25 years old, right?
Yeah.
So you and I are about the same age, roughly. You know, I'm not a mathematician.
One of us is a liar.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a liar. That's me.
Past a liar.
Past a liar. So I think we, to a man here in the studio, we were shocked when I put up your before picture. So to me, that is for people that feel hopeless. Like I know the feeling that recovery is for other people, but maybe not for me. I know the feeling of wanting to die rather than to ever quit drinking and drugging.
Yeah.
I know the disappointment of waking up and having to do my old life again. So, and there's people out there, maybe people watching this show, maybe people who have family members going through that right now, that will gain some hope from your story, all your stories tonight. But I think what I'm going to do is I want you to tell me a little bit about this picture, Michelle.
Okay. Is it on there?
Yeah, they can see it.
Okay, cool. So in this photo, I had just gotten arrested it was like after a night of drinking. I had just gotten out of being Baker acted a couple days prior to that. And the psychologist there said he couldn't tell if I had a drinking problem or if I drank because I had problems or if I have problems because I drink and maybe I should stay sober, which was good advice for someone who's not an alcoholic. And so that night I thought I was just going to go to the bar and have a few drinks and do some scratch-offs. And sure enough, after I had the one drink, the phenomenon of craving kicked in, and I left the bar at closing. And I was drinking and driving. I was trying to find my way to my boyfriend's house at the time, and I couldn't find it, so I stopped at home. And I was at the point in my disease where every night, I was at the end stages where I just prayed for death every night, and I cursed God in the morning when I'd wake up. And so I just didn't see a point of living anymore because, like I said, alcohol ceased to be a luxury. It was a necessity. So that night, my mom told me that if I left the house, I was going to kill somebody or myself. And I went in my room, I grabbed a razor blade, and I went out in the living room, and I asked my mom if she wanted to see somebody kill themselves.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I was reading journals from back, that how warped my brain really was, because I couldn't even recall the last day I was sober, just like my perception and just how much alcohol controlled my life. Like my thinking was so wrong and backwards. And then that night I ended up getting arrested and I spent a couple days in jail. And then, like I said, I got sober through a therapist. My mom thought maybe I needed therapy after that incident, and she recommended I go to AA when I just wanted the therapist to kind of co-sign what was going on with my life.
Yeah. So you wanted to get out of jail free card. So am I guessing that scar on your neck is from that razor blade? Or how'd you get that big scar on your neck in the picture?
Yeah, that's what it's from. I got a little bit over a dozen stitches.
So you were in bluff and you were serious for sure. So that is that is a scary, scary thing, especially for what little I know of you now. I mean, you're a very happy person. I mean, so it's amazing to me to hear that story after we just spent the last hour or two together listening to that. So it is. I think certainly the people in this room can relate to how that feels, right? So we all have similar stories. We don't all have the same story, but it all comes from the same place, right? The same brokenness.
Yeah.
But there's people watching that maybe need to hear. You've been sober now 2 years.
Yeah.
So you've been clean and sober 2 years, and you kind of were advised, or were you forced to go by the therapist?
I wasn't forced. She said she would recommend I go to 1 meeting before I saw her the next week, and I ended up going to 4.
Okay, so you took to it. You think you realized you had the spiritual awakening at that time. You kind of your head pops out of your butt. You hear that giant pop, and all of a sudden things begin to make sense. That maybe you can identify to some of this, or how did that happen for you?
Well, my friends would call me an alcoholic, and I kind of took pride in the term being an alcoholic. But when I got to AA, I kind of heard what an alcoholic actually was. I had lost the amount in which I took. I lost the ability to control my drinking, and my life was unmanageable because every time I drank, I never knew where I was going to end up. Yeah. And I didn't know that was what the actual definition of an alcoholic was. In my mind, it was always someone who had, like a brown bag with a can of beer in it, Me,
in other words.
Yeah, and
thanks for not using my name.
And I'm a female, and I was 23 at the time, so I definitely didn't think that, those two things, I didn't think I could be an alcoholic, and I stuck around, and I heard what people said, and I said, you know what, maybe I have this thing, and what else do I have to lose? I was in such a place of so desperate that, if it didn't work, it didn't work,
It was amazing to me when I quit drinking. There wasn't a lot of young people in 1989 getting into recovery, so...
I thought you were 25.
Yeah, I am. Don't worry about it. What are you, a mathematician all of a sudden?
I'm pretty decent.
She does good math. Yeah, I'll give her that for somebody who's only got 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, wait till she got 3 years. You went back to college?
Yeah, I graduated college in December.
What?
God did for me what I couldn't do for myself.
That's right. So
just gotta do legwork.
So Matt, you have kind of a crazy story too. Now I know your story because I was there when you first came around. You and I became friends almost immediately. But you have tell me a little bit about when you were running and gunning, what it was like, and then when you first got the idea that this was possible. It seems impossible for people like us to quit drinking and drugging, but at some point it clicks. And for me, I mean, when I drank, I stopped breathing, so there was no other plan. But the only plan I had was just not to die. I'll figure out the rest later, But tell me a little bit about your early sobriety.
When I'm out there, my deal is I'm my own worst enemy. So it doesn't matter who you are, what you are. I'm coming through like a tornado, and I'm gonna tear it down, and I'm not looking back. And especially it's to the ones that love me the most. And so running straight, full of fear on everything I had. I look back now and it was full of fear, and that's just crazy.
You were so here's a picture.
That's a scared little boy right there.
Here's a picture of Matt now.
Oof.
I'm guessing that might have been taken by a sheriff's office.
Yeah,
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that wasn't the family pic. You weren't.
No, that wasn't Christmas.
You didn't crop the rest of the family out. Santa's not right off to you.
Your glamour shot, man.
You're not sitting.
It's not Easter. It's not Christmas.
You're not sitting on Santa's lap right there. I'm guessing, right?
No.
So tell me a little bit about that picture. Where were you when that picture was taken? Where were you physically and where were you spiritually?
Well, it's a mugshot, and I was blacked out somewhere.
Oh, were you?
Picked up, yeah.
And then what was your
That was a pickup at 7-Eleven at like 2 in the morning.
And so you were
a warrant that I was running from.
Yeah. So
but given the fear driven that I wasn't ever going to give up, and I was too scared to let it go.
Yeah.
Like you said.
So the idea of us not living like that is unthinkable.
Oh, man,
and so
that's what kept me going for so long. With 30 cents in my pocket, I was the guy that she pictured with the brown bag at the corner store asking you for change when you leave.
So, and you got 3 or 4 years now, right?
Yeah, 3.5.
So I don't know. I've known you for 3.5 years. It feels like a lifetime.
Oh, I know. It's so good, man.
Is that flattering?
And yeah, you're just a sunshine to me when I came in to this church, and because you were light on your feet and you made me feel at home, and
we laughed a lot,
joked around
even in the beginning. Remember
that,
what did I
to
tell
me was
everybody?
real
I bet
attractive.
$20 against you. Remember
You lost
when you
20
got a
bucks.
year?
Yeah,
Didn't I tell him that
Yeah.
you're not supposed to bet on newcomers in the recovery programs? But I bet against Matt. I didn't think he'd make a year.
So
I was
the
out
one-
$20.
The one thing was, I always, like, I was thinking about it today, how I was my own worst enemy. My dad would come and he'd give me $40 for the week or the day or whatever it was, and he, towards the end, he's just like, I am done. I'm not being your enabler anymore.
Yeah.
And as he stopped enabling me, the tough love came in, and going through this process, you know, I look back now and I was killing this guy. This guy would give me that money. He would go home, and I don't know what he would do. He wouldn't sleep all night thinking about me. I wouldn't sleep all night thinking about me.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do next to get
Yeah.
loaded, to get the next dollar, to get money, to get loaded, to get loaded, to get
And
loaded.
you were living in a storage
I was
shed,
in a storage shed.
and the
Yeah, not
and the only work you could
scary.
find was as a pool boy.
Pool boy and yeah, because I had nowhere else to go. But I got a good one. I was thinking about this one. My delusion of drinking and my blackout episodes. I'm in Disney World, and we're at a bar. We're at a dueling piano bar, right? And I'm on the left side. Everyone's on the right side. We're having a good time. I slip into a blackout, and I woke up the next morning, and I was freaking so hungover. And my head's killing me, and everyone's like, let's go out to breakfast. I'm like, all right. And we're walking down the boardwalk, and everyone's like, there's Crazy Charlie. So evidently I got a nickname and every other thing while I was there. And that's just how my drinking went. And I'm sure I got kicked out. But it's just rewind a little bit with my father today. Besides, you know, like the guy from New York calling me and telling me how I helped him out and being a service to my fellows and stuff like that, the relationships repaired through this process has been just unbelievable. My life is full. I have a beautiful fiance at home. We're raising her 6-year-old kid, and it's truly a blessing. It really is. I get choked up, man.
You lucked out. Let's face it. I mean, we don't get what we want, but at least we didn't get what we deserved.
Absolutely.
So I go to preach in jails a lot, or I used to, and every time I was there, every week I thought to myself, when I hear these stories and the things they did to get in there, I belonged in there. I mean, if I didn't grow up in New York City in the 80s, where kind of nothing was illegal, I'd have been sitting there. I mean, it was just, but for the grace of God, certainly I belonged there. Now I'm starting to preach on the psych ward of a local hospital, and again, same thing, you know. So it is truly a blessing, and so we fool around a lot. We have an awful lot of fun. But we never forget where we come from. So there's an old prayer that goes, God, teach me to laugh again, but never let me forget that I cried.
Yeah.
Now I'm choking myself up. But it was
goosebumps.
It was terrible, right? So then when you look at life now, we have such little to worry about, because really, considering what we went through back then, most of our problems are top shelf problems now. We have very high class problems these days. Sarkis.
Sarkis.
You are from outside of Boston, correct? Are you camera shy? Are you dead? Do you need Narcan?
Give me the Narcan!
You know, you're supposed to be sober to be on this show. What's in those bottles you got wrapped around? He's on his 4th water already. The show just started.
He's selling urine tests and Narcan out.
I think an Absolute bottle just rolled out from under the table. I've had guys on the show getting interviewed drinking at the same time. I won't tell you which guest. You'll have to
I
go
want to
back
tell
and
you,
watch the
Pastor
previous
Kev,
episodes.
your water blows.
Well, there you go. Well, I don't actually make the water. I buy it at Winn-Dixie.
I'm kidding.
So you got more time than these folks
I
have.
have no time. I have since 6:30 this morning. How about that?
Okay, but you got sober 13 years ago, right?
I got sober sometime in 2007, 6/12.
June 12th, 2007. So you've been around.
That is correct, Senator.
You've been around this. You've been around this a little bit. And you and I met because you spoke here at our TN24 program a couple of years ago. Is that correct?
I spoke for the pastor.
So you were here. You were here on a Tuesday night when we used to do TN24, which is the program Matt came to us through, which was awesome. So tell the folks a little bit about, if you can, and I know you're not doing well, but tell the folks.
I'm not doing well. If you can see me now, like I'm seeing me.
So clearly the theme of tonight's show is going to be we're not a glum lot.
We are a glum lot.
Because
Look at me.
Sarkis was telling these three of them were making me laugh so
Cindy
much.
Brady.
I had hiccups right before the show
Once
went
the
on.
red light goes on, I get like Cindy Brady.
All right, Cindy Brady, tell us a little bit about your story.
It was a cricket. I was born on a hill in a hospital in 1971 with a gun and a bottle of Jack Daniels and a glazed donut.
Me too. I still love donuts.
Oh,
In fact,
boy, what
donuts are my favorite thing about recovery.
All right, rock on, Phil, rock on. Anyway, in a hospital. Anyway, so I started drinking, like I said earlier, before I got cut off here, around 13. The progression of the disease, as they call it, I did hyphen quotes for you people who couldn't see me, kicked my ass basically until I was about 34 when I got pinched for some crimes down here in Florida.
Right.
Couldn't get pinched up in Massachusetts where I'm from. But damn you, come down here, and it's a very easy thing to get pinched.
Yeah, they say come to Florida on vacation, leave on probation.
Never mind probation,
Return
bro.
on violation.
The
crimes that I got jammed up with were just simple. Well, they weren't simple.
molesting a vending machine. I just
Molesting
looked
a
it up.
vending machine. I won't. Hey, I do not tell no lies. I am no
Apparently he
George.
got
I am
Dr.
George
Pepper in a
Washington. Whose story is this? Mine or yours?
That's Abraham Lincoln.
Whatever. Thank you. 2 years ago. Hey, chill out a minute. Let me get to where I am in my head.
All right.
Anyway, in all seriousness, so I got jammed up back in sometime in May. I want to say it was like May 15th, May 16th. I was on a long run, whoosh, like a super run with all that money. And the money had come to an end. So what happens when money comes to an end? You go to ends to means. I became my best me. I like criminal activity anyways. The drinking was just the reward for me for doing such a great job. So I met a guy, he knew how to fashion a key, yada, yada. Long story short, we started robbing Pinellas County for all its change and all the machines between Clearwater Beach and St. Pete Beach.
That's a lot of change.
Yeah, it is. A couple grand a night.
They knew you at the bank.
Yeah. Oh,
Or-
yeah.
or did you buy
remember
your groceries?
Coinstar?
Did you-
Remember Coinstar? I said I had a good day at the tables. That's how I used to do it every couple of days. Good day at the tables. Anyways, but waking up on Redneck Beach, which we all know, if you're from Pinellas County, it's a great beach called Gandy Boulevard. And it's a wonderful place where the rednecks think, you hang out. And I slept there, bathed there, and drank there. We got pinched. I wound up in Pinellas County Jail, hammered. Didn't give a shit, excuse my language, but I'm real about it. But I asked if I could take my bottle with me into the freaking sheriff's department. I said, can I have the bottle at least, man? I don't think I'm going to last the night. Next thing you know it, they got me hooked. And I'm like, all right, dude, I'm really going downtown.
Detox time.
I said, yeah. I said, ride me up. We're good. I get up and friggin' book, and they're like, you feel this, and this? I'm like, nah, that ain't me. I'm good. Next thing you know it, they got me up right, you said, the medical detox. They said, here's a boat, lay down. I laid down. I said, this isn't cool. I'm like, I wonder when I'm getting the F out of this joint.
Can I get a real bed?
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, can I get can I get something? I've never been locked up before. Those who know me who might be watching this thing right now know I never got locked up. I stayed under the radar. But I took it like a man. I was like, well, this place does suck. I should have listened to everybody before me. And I got there, and I was like, this isn't going to be fun. So
This is not for me.
No, I said, this place sucks. I said, how are you going to make any money in here unless it's a hustle? I said, I ain't got time for this kind of crap. That's not my thing. I said,
How many cigarettes does a guy need?
I didn't even smoke then.
Oh.
I stopped. When the booze was gone, I was done smoking. Johnny was done. Cut me off. Anyway. So, man,
It's like having four guests in the studio.
yeah, it is.
He's talking about
Phil.
he's talking about some guy that's not even here.
Hey.
But I know he's referring to himself.
Self is self. Anyway, they brought me to court. Whatever happened. Some kid goes, why are you in felony blues? I'm like, no, dude, they told me misdemeanor. No, these are felony jumpsuits. I said, oh, I hit the big time, Ma.
Congratulations.
That's what I said. I said, I hit the big time. 9 felonies and 3 misdemeanors. Looking at, I don't know, whatever Florida carries here, 80%
Said
of
you're
the
just
time.
gonna get out like right now.
Sacrilege this was 2007, so they were going to try to get this thing booked and hooked and let me out around 14 and 15 of. So I said, okay, but no record, no nothing. Lock it up, roll it up, you're gone. No AA, no nothing. I walked out with my little coin, had some money on the street hidden, went and got my money, got drunk, walked into the Salvation Army. That place saved my life. 30 days later, I was let out. AA changed it. Met a guy who had a similar story to me. Corey, what's up if you're listening? Good guy right there. You think I'm funny? Don't get us both on this show. It's all done. He was similar to me. He took me through the steps. He bet that I would be drunk within 6 months, and here I am 13 plus years into this program of recovery. I do sponsor somebody. He's up in Jimmy. I just said hi to him. What's up?
Jimmy.
Jimmy! Ride that tank, buddy. Ride that tank. Anyways, I sponsor this guy. I can't believe he's still sober. You're doing good, Jimmy.
Yeah, he's sober. And they stay sober sometimes in spite of us.
Yeah, they do.
In spite of my best advice.
But you know what? He's got 10 years, though. I'll give him that. But, you know, I work in the field of recovery now.
Right. You went.
I'm a therapist now, pretty much.
So
now. I'm right on that cusp of becoming a full-time.
And you see the irony in that for the rest of us.
I do, yeah. Because I'm more on Michelle's story with the therapist telling her to get here.
Yeah.
I say, hey, you might want to try this because I'm going to figure out what the hell else is really wrong with you. But I think the drink has a little bit to do with it. But I want to get to the underlying crap that's making you drink. And let's fix that and then get the drink fixed at the same time. And then you might have a nice life like hers, you know?
Yeah, and she's doing great.
She is.
So
and I'm done.
So what we're going to do now, we're going to go through some of the comments that are already showing up on
Sarkis doing
on YouTube here. Somebody named Sarkisian. Oh, that's you. You commented on our video. Nice. He was referring to somebody called the Cabana Boy. Who would that be? Somebody cleaning pools and handing out towels. And then somebody from New York says hello. That's Jim K. Whose guy is that? Is that your guy? His guy?
Yeah, that's my guy.
Maybe one of my guys. Your guy?
That's my guy.
Okay.
He's not my guy, but you know.
You're not good.
My guy. All right.
Talking
then we have
about my guy. My guy.
All right. Then we have.
I'm a fly mother.
Then we have. Now here. This is nice. So we have somebody.
This is nice.
We have somebody named Mary Davick commenting on YouTube, and you know what she said?
Hello, Mary.
My daughter. I'm so proud of her.
That's my mom.
I was hoping she meant you, because if she meant Matt, you know, then we got a whole nother episode.
I'm glad your mom's happy for you.
Hey, Mom.
Cool.
And here's, of course, this is the best. This last guy commenting, Scotty, gave me some of the best advice in my life. But he says if he can stay sober, then even Kevin can stay sober, and that's probably true because he was jacked up. Mine was like one big misunderstanding, but he was like a real alcoholic.
A real alcoholic?
So, yeah, you know how those are. You know how those
yeah, I
people
was
are.
one.
So
I like my Jim Crow early in the morning.
So we're going to open up the phone lines, guys. I got to tell you that since I am both the engineer and the host, answering phones can be a little bit awkward. So I'm gonna answer the phone. You're probably going to still be on mute. You might be able to hear us a little bit. We're not going to be able to hear you, but I'll bring you on through the board when we get a break in the conversation. So the phone number is on the screen now. If you call in, we'll get you on the air if we can. I have remember these phones? I got this little.
Yeah, what, you got a flip phone, buddy?
I got a little free brick phone for that with a designated number just for the
government stuff.
Just for the Godlogic Project. So I want to thank President Obama.
This shit is like slime.
Oh, nice. So
don't use this.
I see it there.
What do you got? What do you got?
Somebody named Jim K says he met you in October of 2009. And he's been clean sober. He's saying you saved his life.
I saved nobody's life. I just changed
so
it.
Even a broken clock is right twice.
A broken clock, Jimmy. A broken
saved
clock.
A life, man. That's got to feel good.
No, I didn't do nothing. He did the work. I brought him the product. He did the rest.
So let me see if I can even get the phone to come
no
up.
credit in what I do.
So when we answer the phone, guys, here at the Godlogic Project, it's usually a cluster. So hang in there with me, and we will get you on the air.
I'm very proud of you, Michelle.
And then you could ask questions of our
Yeah,
guests.
I think that's my neighbor.
There's
Hey,
somebody.
neighbor.
There's somebody that's very proud of Michelle.
Won't you be my neighbor?
So far, Michelle has got 2 I love yous. Sarkis has got a couple. Me and Matt, nothing.
I got a Heather signal.
Yes.
Wait, Heather.
Yes, he
You're welcome.
did.
I forgot. I
Being
saw
on the
Heather on
show.
there. Heather, what did
My
Heather
wife
say?
won't come on this if you are there,
Look,
lady.
I think Heather
see you
deleted her
later.
comment.
She says, all
All right, I'll buy you
beautiful.
one of those
Love you
things,
guys.
seriously.
Oh,
Tell me where to
beautiful. Love
send
you
it.
guys. So maybe she meant me and you.
And I'll-
And you got a Brian Seville.
I know a Brian. His name is Seville. He was named after a Cadillac.
I know
on
Brian
a
Seville.
hill.
Shout out to Brian out in
Hey,
Orlando.
having fun in Orlando?
Brian out in Orlando saying hello.
Brian from Orlando.
Saying hello to Sarkis. You know that the Godlogic Project is now international, so I do have viewership all over the world.
All right, let me
including,
speak a little Espanol.
Like 1.6% of my viewers are in
Stop
Indonesia.
doing pasta.
Mute.
I want to give a shout out to Fourth Dimension.
The guys at Fourth Dimension, they played a big
Hey,
role. There's an
hey.
awesome bunch of guys.
We
and
just
I know
went
they
on
played a
we
big
just-
role in your
We
recovery.
did that big spiritual retreat.
You just did a
man.
big spiritual retreat. Was it
Oh.
20 or 30 guys there?
Maybe 45 and 50.
Really?
Oh, it's awesome.
And you
every
guys
year
do that
grows,
every year.
Grows.
So Matt
Yeah.
brings up a good point. Some people, I'm afraid, some people don't get into recovery out of fear of the unknown. And I wanted to give them kind of an idea, not just the work that goes into it, not just the step work and the sponsors and the reading and the prayer, meditation and everything, but that there is a unity, a community, a foxhole camaraderie. I think you would only find in war. Or perhaps as a first responder, or in recovery. So there's a unique camaraderie, a foxhole camaraderie that you find in recovery. Whether we like each other sometimes or not, if they ask for help, boom, we're there. So the fellowship of recovery is amazing. And I know, speaking to that a little bit, Maddie, because I know you got a lot to say about that. I know your story more than everyone else's.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Just the unity of this thing.
And Scott McMillan says he's proud of me. So
Well, there you go, Scotty. I'm proud of Kevin too, man. That guy is amazing. The unity of this whole deal is so attractive.
Attractive.
So
I got scooped up. The guys came into my halfway house, and when you're there, you're forced to go to meetings.
Did you own
that was our own TNT4, right?
TNT4, yeah. Yeah, so I was there. I met Pastor Michael. I'm crying like a baby. And he's like, dude, just hang in there. I'm praying for you. And these guys come in on a Monday night and bring a meeting in there, a hope. And you just see these guys, and they're happy. And they just latch onto you. And when I volunteered to get into this thing, and I had a gift of desperation. And I mean, we had fun right off the rip, man. The crew of guys that were in there.
Yeah.
There's a whole class of us, like a Ben, a John, TJ. There was like a bunch of us. Seth.
Oh,
Flint,
yeah.
Dave. Yeah. Flint, Dave F. We all had a great time, and they introduced me to these guys that came in, and they're home became my home group, and we go out annually and do we visit all the 12-step program. We go through all 12 steps. We have a great time. We cook, and it's like it's like being in school, high school again.
Yeah. So
we're up to like 4 a.m, dying laughing, kind of like we weren't here before the show.
So we were. People don't understand that we do this thing one day at a time. So it is not overwhelming when you think of it that way. But it's very hard to think of your life kind of like playing small ball. Living one day at a time when you're used to the hustle, right? You're used to the grind of being an addict or an alcoholic and the life that goes along with that. So to be introduced to, I think, a level of existence, for me, a very spiritual level of existence, when I quit drinking, and now picture the nuns when I was a kid told my parents I wasn't smart enough to go to college, that I better get a trade. So I'm 13 years old, and I'm on construction sites, which is against the law, but not in New York. Nothing's against the law there back then. So, but when I quit drinking, I went back to doing stand-up comedy. I always wanted to do stand-up comedy sober, so I went and did that. I went to college, right? I dropped out of high school, and I wanted to kind of erase the fact that I dropped out of high school by going to college. Mostly, a lot of the women that I worked with, the other young, I was 21, and they were at this time 22.
4 years ago.
This is 4 or 5 years ago now, and they everybody was going to college. I'm like, college must be full of chicks. I'm going to college, and I ended up my wife, my ex-wife now, but my wife, the woman that would become my wife, kind of talked me into going to college. So we had a blast, right? So in the beginning, I didn't go to parties. I didn't do anything because I felt different. I felt weird, I definitely had some social issues after leaving my neighborhood, and making friends outside of my neighborhood was weird. So I really began I kind of got a slow start into the social side of things. It took me a while to kind of make any friends, right? And it took me a long while to make any friends. I always stayed by myself. I went fishing by myself. I went to the zoo by myself. I did whatever I wanted, but I always did it by myself. You guys kind of embrace the social side of this thing, and it makes it so much easier. Tell me a little bit about your early recovery in terms of the unity of it all.
Okay. I started going to this one group, and then I branched out to the fourth dimension. And I remember kind of standing off by myself, and I had met this guy, Dan Lenahan, and he asked me why I wasn't talking to anyone.
I know him.
Yeah, he's a good dude. And I said, I don't know anyone, Dan. And he says to me, of course you do. They're all your friends. You just don't know them yet.
Yeah.
So when he said that to me, that kind of enabled me to put myself out there. All these people, we've all been through the same thing. We've all felt the same way. We all have the same thing, and we're all working for the same goal. And I didn't have to feel like I didn't belong or like I was different then, because we're just a large family. We just don't know each other yet. And that's kind of how I approach every situation that I go into now, is they're going to be my friend. I just don't know them yet, And then also, I wanted to go back to your spiritual retreat, Matt. I wanted to go to that, because I'm now a home group member of the fourth dimension. Yeah, it was. And,
That's great.
I told them I identify as male, and that wasn't good enough.
So they went camping. They sat around fires. They probably, did you hunt? Did you kill things?
No.
Did you sit?
They did primitive caveman.
Yeah, did you sweat in the cave and all that?
You need to go to a spiritual retreat for
Character
ladies.
assassination.
Yeah, but basically you made fun of each other.
Michelle, you need a
do.
spiritual
It's a
retreat for
retreat
ladies.
from
It's a
retreat from not cracking on
Even
each
though
other.
I'm really being
not
honest now,
assassinating
it's
each other.
real. I'm shut off here.
Phone away.
No, you're back on now.
I am back on.
See, when you
no.
talk, when someone else is talking, the mic picks it up.
I am. I'm going.
Crazy, right? That's
You know what?
technology.
Zacharias, I'm not done.
Zacharias? Oh,
I'm not done.
Zacharias?
I
With
didn't
my
say
unity,
anything.
My unity talk.
Secretsis?
Okay.
Settle down. Go ahead.
So, every Friday night, the fourth dimension goes out to eat, and then I made some friends, and then we wanted to hang out a little bit longer, and we started this bowling thing. And then every Friday we go bowling. The crowd has kind of changed, but the group that goes now, we've kind of named our bowling league the Spiritual Experience.
The spiritual. And I'm going to
Yeah.
guess you played a role in making that name, didn't you?
No,
Because I heard. Do you want to tell jokes on the air after a minute?
Oh, yeah.
No,
My friend, I will tell my jokes. I'm a stand-up comedian, but not a great one. No, my friend Nikki, she came up with it. I guess she was having a tough time sleeping one night, and the next day I see her, and she's got it. She came up with the name when she was having a hard time sleeping, and it just kind of stuck.
Then say it again. What's the name?
Spiritual Experience Bowling League.
Spiritual.
Yeah, spiritual. Like
a spiritual experience, but a bowling spiritual experience. It's like
Yes.
picking up. So you are, in essence, picking up in
12
life
pins.
a 7-10 split. So your life is like a 7-10 split, and you're nailing it.
Yeah.
Would you compare your life to a 7-10 split right now? America's listening. People, in 1.6% of people are in Indonesia are listening.
My life's a 10/10, not a 7-10 split. When I get a spare, I usually hit 8 or 9, and then I get the last one. But yeah, also,
I speak Mandarin.
there's nobody in Indonesia listening.
No, odds are there's probably. I have a friend in Indonesia, and she's probably the only one that really watches it. So, all right, Sarkis, were you married when you were drinking, or did you get married
I
after
plead the
you?
fifth.
I wouldn't blame you.
I'm taking the fifth on everything from here on out. Talk to my attorney.
Fifth of Jack.
Fifth of Jack. Did you meet your wife in sobriety, or did you meet your wife? Did she know you back when you were jacked up, or did she only meet you when you were clearly stable now? So, you know what we say sometimes is some people are sicker than others.
Hey,
They're referring to him.
Now I know what they mean by that.
listen,
So tell me about how
I
your
can't
life.
bring joy to this group. Nothing will.
Promise me your life got better when you quit
My
drinking.
life went from a pair of Reeboks to a 2019 Ford F-150.
So you're a catch, is what you're saying.
Yeah, bro.
Living under a bridge.
Hey,
22nd Avenue overpass.
south or north?
Near the concrete joint. Wanted to lay my head right out over there so they can take it off with the railroad guys there.
Right,
In
right.
all seriousness.
So
I was
you,
going to whack myself, but I didn't. There was other plans for me.
so you were,
I was homeless.
yeah. So you were homeless when you. So I'm guessing it's only gone up. So tell me a little bit about. Did you go to school to be a therapist? How did you
So-
meet your wife? How did your life get better when you quit drinking? Give it to us.
Write all that down.
I'll
send it
text
to
you. In the meantime, while you're thinking about that, Sarkis
Here's some awesome
Sarkis says,
music.
great group of recovery.
Recovering alcoholic addicts.
I'm sorry. And Scott McMillan says he's proud of me. I had to say that again because I don't hear that much.
So what really honestly was the question? Did my
So,
life get better? Yes.
How did your
My-
life? I'm guessing your life. To me,
All
it
right.
seems to me that
So we're
if your
gonna
life
bring-
doesn't
yeah.
get better, then if your life doesn't get better, then the odds of relapsing are exponentially higher. So if you
Probably.
if you don't do the steps and become a better person and have a better outlook and a better spiritual condition,
All right.
if your life doesn't get better, you're bound to relapse. So tell me how your life got better.
You just did.
I just gave your testimony.
No. So listen, let's just jump back a little bit so people can realize this is.
I think people are afraid to call in, by the way.
Well, hey, that's their issue.
Well, go ahead.
And yes, I am a therapist. But anyway, so we'll jump back to that 2006 thing, back to, where did I say, the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
So when I showed up there, I walked in, says, I need a place. Guy who looks just like Kevin, actually, says,
Might have
hey,
been Denzel.
we don't serve your kind here. That's
Really?
what I was told. Two guys were standing outside there. Those were my saving Hell's Angels, in a sense.
Uh-huh.
They just completed that program after 9 months of being in there. A month before that, they were going in there to get free food,
Uh-huh.
and they said, "Stay here. We're going to talk to Joe Matola." I said, "Really, little guinea dude,
Yeah, see, he probably comes from my neighborhood.
Queens."
Yeah.
Well, it gets better. They bring him out. He's from Queens.
Got a pinky ring.
He's from Queens. They bring him out. He looks at me. I look at him. He goes, "Hey, you look like me when I came here 42 years ago," or something like that. He was being funny. I said, "Well, now I'll give you any time you need, whatever you need. I need to get my life changed." Brings me in. He was an associate of the Gambino family at one point. He changed everything, flipped it to God, and became a captain in the Salvation Army. Step one, yells at the guy at the front desk, "Give him a bed. We got 40 of them up there." Step two, the guy that looked like you was from the next town over from me, but he was a little bit older than me. Never judge a book by its cover. That's what I told him.
Really?
Step four, you were locked down for the first 30 days. So I didn't get out to meet Corey, my friend, at that time. Like I said, he was identical to me. He introduced me to the real deal recovery. That's what I called these guys. It was just all guys. There was no females. I wasn't there looking for a female. Showed me what was going on. Took me to a bunch of, I love eating meetings still to this day.
Yeah.
Huh? Got a little fat going? You know. Anyway, eating meetings are great. So when you do come into recovery, just don't bring a covered dish. Just come by yourself, look hungry, eat, get the message, move along.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But
Bring a covered dish and put some food in it this time.
just
That would
bring
be
an
nice.
empty covered dish like
Yeah.
you would if you were going to your grandma's house. Hey, grandma.
So, so things got
anyways,
better, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so I was in the Salvation Army. I want to say I went in September 12th. That would be all right. The June 12th, got out around February. So while I was in there, they allow you to go out 1 or 2 days a week to look for work. I was dropping, what are those things? Paper applications back
Resumes?
then? No, application. No resume then. To different joints. on my days off. I had the free Pinellas County 911 411 paging service for free because I was a homeless bum. Yes, bum, folks, B-U-M. Got out of there, had a job the very next night. I got out of the Salvation Army on a Thursday, checked my voicemail on Friday, was hired next week building $1 million yachts.
Really?
Down in Pinellas. Never touched a yacht in my life. They liked my resume. They said, come on in, build, we'll put you on a crew. Had a dude, didn't like him first, but we wound up becoming really good friends. He was a supervisor. Name was Tony Little, no joking.
Really?
He yelled at me one time, I almost knocked him out.
Was he little?
No, he was 6'3", skinny black kid. But anyway, he was just very mouthy with me, and I was still so early in recovery. I was only like 9 months sober. I was like, I'm going to whack this dude. Saw my sponsor started spouting off with him. He's like, so what are you really going to do about it? Get in the car. We're going to a meeting. He drives me up and over a hill when we go to a meeting. The meeting was right here.
Yeah.
And then he goes, so what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. But I can't deal with this crap. He goes, no, you're going to deal with it. You'll be fine. But I didn't skip a spot. I had a place to live the very next day, too, from some people in AA. A guy gave me a room free of charge until I got on my feet, and I lived there for 9 months. Then I swung in with some other people from AA that were solid. That are Ohio AA, Akron people that come down here half the year. Hooked up with some Akron people, lived there. Then I finally got my own apartment, and I didn't date the first couple of years because that wasn't my thing. I wasn't worried about all that. Recovery was my thing because I know me.
Yeah.
I was about recovery. I take recovery seriously, but I do have fun in it because I got the right guy. I had the right crew around me, and I still do today, as you can see. We're having fun.
Absolutely.
But I take it seriously. I don't got time to play games with people. And people didn't have time to play games with me. I got to be like that. We took it as it's a business to me. It's like, hey, you need to do this to get this result. Okay, let's do it then. I'm in. You just can't drink. Okay, I'll try it out. 13 years later, here I am.
We already know how
Right.
the opposite goes, right? So we might as well
But here's
try
the
it.
difference, though. My sponsor wasn't a sponsor that said, meet me over here. He was a guy who says, come to my house and eat breakfast with me. Come to my house and have dinner with me. Come here. He let me into his life, just not the AA life. He let me into his life. He encompassed me into his life.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. Not everybody in AA does that. That's why this guy, Jim K., whatever was shown to me, I showed to that kid. That kid got dumped on me from a guy from New York. Hey, take him home for me. I said, I don't know this friggin' guy from Shineau. But I knew he was a New York guy, so I got along with him.
That's funny how we get along, too.
Right. I said, hey, you got money? You go, I know. I said, you hungry? I ain't got no money. I said, that wasn't the question. I said, the question was, is you hungry? Yeah, so I took him out to the St. Pete Diner, great place, never there. Oh, I missed that joint. Anyway, I did the first 3 steps with this kid, and he'll attest to it. And then I ran back. I said, I don't know if I should have did that because I don't know where the hell I am in my recovery. Corey, I did this with him. Yeah, you're good, dude. You just call me if you need me for anything. So I took him through the process of what was taken through me. And recovery went up from there. I got my own apartment. I gradually had people back in my life again. I was able to bring my mother down here multiple times. She was able to see me get married. I flew her down. I flew her down multiple times before that, but life was good. Then I got laid off from that job, and my sponsor was like, yeah, you're not going back to work. I said, what do you mean? What am I going to do for money? He goes, you got a brain, bro. I'm going to take you to SPC. We're going to get you to do the entrance exam. I said, oh, I'm going to fail the math. No, you'll be fine.
So you ended up going to college just like I did after a year.
About a year and a half. And he goes, I'm going to show you what I did and why I'm sitting at USF right now doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you the route I went. You're going to be fine. Trust me. Missed everything by 1 point in English to get into English comp. But I said I was high-fiving on that math. I said, look, 24. I told you I can't add this type of numbering up. I said, you give me a kilo of cocaine, I get it to 32. I sell it for 32.5. There you go. 15 off the door, baby. We're rolling. I'm good with those numbers. But I couldn't. Am I shut off again?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm about to interrupt you. Go ahead, finish up.
But anyway, so you were asking me all these questions, so now I'm hitting them in succession points.
It's a 1-hour show.
Well, hey. God
Should've
give the
named
Logic
the show
Project.
the Soccer Show.
Hi, Michelle. Nice to know you.
All right,
Anyway,
so hold on a second. We had a little glitch on our software here, so the phone number wasn't completely being shown. Sometimes it disappears. What are you going to do? I fixed it. It's on there. It's on there now. So if you want to call in, you have questions for our guests, any comments, I encourage you to do so. The number's fixed. I want to thank you guys again for supporting the Godlogic Project. If there's anything I can do for you, a family member, whether it be spiritual or recovery-oriented, whatever it is, email me, godlogicproject@gmail.com. I have resources all over the state and the recovery community and outside of the state now. I can help if I can help, I'll find the resources for you. If I can, I'll tell you. I'll plug you into somebody who can. So really our goal here is we have a lot of fun, but our goal is to make these services available to people and try to make a difference in the time we have on this earth. So anyway, Sarkis, now I'm going to take you back off mute.
I am off mute because I speak too much. Never have me on your show ever again, Kevin.
This is like getting sent to the principal's office.
Hey, anyways. And when I was 3, I stole a chocolate bar. That's Chunk.
So you got plugged in right away to the social side of things.
The guy that I got plugged into, his name was Chucky B. He's no longer here, but when I met up with him, he had 46 years.
Wow.
Sister Ignatia put him through school. You know who that is, right?
Sister Ignatia?
From AA.
Really?
And his grand sponsor was none other than Dr. Bob himself.
Really?
Wow.
So
I had lineage to that effect. So these guys had a tremendous effect in my recovery, no matter what. They were always encouraging, especially with the school thing. But back to that, no, I didn't want to be a therapist. That wasn't my thing. I wanted to do environmental sciences. Remember that math thing, 32, high five?
Yeah.
Wasn't getting me anywhere.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I wanted to do then. I said, let me go into law. My sponsor was flipping burgers. You like to read? I said, dude, it took me 1.5 years to pick up the big book. He goes, well, you ain't going to like that. And then I started dating. And the girl at that time that I was dating had suggested maybe you should do this thing with the counseling because you can talk to people and you can identify with it. So I gave it a whirl. Worked.
How long you been at that now then?
2011. I've been in it.
So it's 9 years.
Yeah, but I've been certified for the last 3 or 4. It took a few years of education
Finishing school
and I'm still going to school. I'm going to probably wind up being licensed in the next couple of years as a social worker.
Nice.
So I can take this on the road and have podcasts about things like this.
So you could be famous like me someday. That'll be nice.
Oh, we'll both be famous. I'll take you places to the pastor that the
Me
devil
too.
never showed you.
I'm not
too.
And God is here now.
Bring
I'm
me-
going to take number 15, the big
Go.
Patrick Mahomes fan. Kids
right.
from New
Hey.
Jersey.
So it is
What
the
about-
day after
what about-
Super Bowl.
Yeah, what about last night? Now, this guy is a class act.
I'm a
Yeah,
class
Mahomes.
act. Thank you.
I kind of like put a twist on it into recovery, how this guy came back 3 playoff games in a row. He never gave up, and he never quit.
Yeah.
And that's just so encouraging to anyone out there.
And he gives the glory to
on-
God, which is
Gives the glory to God,
everything.
does a devotion with the whole team. And I encourage anyone out there who just is on that fence line, man, just get in this thing, latch on to someone, and get with someone who knows what's going on. And it's a great life. I mean, the things we get to do are just blessings, and to carry it and keep it going.
And your dad brought you kind of brought you into treatment, right? So your dad played a big role in your recovery.
Yeah, big time.
I deal with a lot of families that have it may not be the person calling me that has the problem, but they have a family member that does. So it is possible to kind of when the time is right to reach out, and that's what I want people to know, that we're here. I mean, there's nothing scary or unique about us. We didn't just get lucky, right? We got here the hard way like everybody did. We earned our seats in recovery. But we have we do have tools and resources. People in this room are plugged into the recovery community, and we're willing to help. And that's a hard concept for people that come from the streets to understand, that people are going to help you in recovery and not want anything in return.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Like
a very strange concept.
I ended up at this guy's front doorstep, knocking on his door for help. He calls me. He's like, hey, you know this guy, Roy? He came and he had a great message and spoke for us. And the same guy that I ended up on the front doorstep was the same guy that set that guy free, too. It's a small world, man, and it's just a beautiful thing to see it going on.
It was.
I got sober in
it was
New York
wild.
and came down here and plugged right in. Now I always thought that I wasn't going to pray or hug or hold hands or anything, read, talk about my feelings, anything like that. So took me a while. It took me a while to. I thought I had to quit drinking and toughen up, right? And that kind of thinking had me ready to kill myself 14 years ago. Sober, by the way, over money. So I can tell you from somebody that didn't do the things you guys did. I made every single mistake in recovery except to drink and drug, right? And I think I came to faith just in time. Right after I came to faith, I really needed some faith, So things, God knew if He's going to get me through this one more time, I'm going to need some extra tools, So things really, in hindsight, you realize that it's providence. I've lost all confidence in coincidence. It just doesn't seem to be. There's too many coincidences.
God's all over it. He really is.
Yeah. So
Just
his
don't
hand
white
is
knuckle.
everything. Yeah.
There's a lot of white knucklers out there in and out of the room silently.
Yeah.
Why do I go to these meetings? They're not doing nothing. No, it's because you're not getting out of yourself and knowing you would drink with that same person if they had a bottle to share with you, but you can't share. Hi, my name is Mike. I'm an alcoholic just like you. What's going on?
I had a friend of mine, you talk about your buddy calling you from your childhood. I had a friend of mine call me from New York, and this guy was one of my 6 or 8 guys that we were like family in our neighborhood, right? And he texted me. He was like 7 days out of rehab, and this was a couple weeks ago. He's relapsed once already, but he's now going to meetings and talking to people. But it brought back memories because he's telling me, and we're cut from the same cloth. He's telling me, I can't raise my hand. I can't talk to people at meetings. I'm scared to, it's a tough guy mentality that can kill you, right? So he's just, and I can tell you he's a great guy, but he's scary looking. So nobody's going to walk up to him and talk to him probably, unless they're crazy enough to do it, like probably the people in this room would do it. But
Not me.
But he started saying that he texted me. This guy literally like a brother to me. I'm getting choked up talking about it again. He's texting me, hey, I got some phone numbers. I talked to some guys. I raised my hand. I talked to some guys after the meeting. We went out and had coffee. So we see how important that is, right? Especially ego can kill us, right? People like us die because we
Ego
think,
can kill you inside the rooms too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we think we're so unique that anything of that 164 pages doesn't apply to us. I was at the Newport Richie Club, and a guy wasn't there. I'm just fresh back to the program, and I said, where's so-and-so? And the guy said, well, he passed away. And I'm like, oh, man, how did he die? And another guy yelled out, terminal uniqueness. So he died of thinking he was different than everybody else, and he went and tested the waters again, ended up dead, and that's heartbreaking. But stick around long enough,
Those you step over, I'm sorry to say it, but it's the truth. You can't save everybody, and you only can help the ones who want to be helped.
Yeah, I have families call me, and they can you call my nephew? Can you call my cousin? You can give them my cell number, and they can call me, because if they're not at least willing to make a phone call, the harvest is plenty and the workers are few. And Matt, I'll tell you, we stay pretty busy around here in recovery.
Yeah, you do.
So it is.
You do.
Yeah, so it is. It's a 24-hour job. I thought if I became a pastor, by the way, I'd only work on Sunday, which is not true. And then, I just assumed
Well,
a little
selfish.
widow would come over with a covered dish in the evening, maybe straighten up a little bit. That doesn't happen either. If I don't cook, that boy don't eat.
Yeah,
It's scary. He'll eat potato chips for dinner.
Oi, eat.
It's one foot in front of the other. You got to do the work.
Yeah, and so it is a matter
Get out
of
the way and do the work.
it takes spiritual discipline. It takes self-discipline in the beginning, but does it not become spiritual muscle memory? All of a sudden, it's what you want to do, right? So saying hello to people, which was killing me in the 10 years ago, 14 years ago, I say hello to everybody
awkwardness.
now, I mean, if I don't see people, I miss them, and that's not my personality.
That's
Yeah,
social
one of-
awkwardness.
Yeah,
A lot of people in the rooms, not me. I don't have that.
I'm guessing.
I was a freaking criminal. So what do you got to do? You got to know how to muscle up to people and get them to get what you want. Most of those folks, this is and this is just me, and the guys that I got hooked up with thought like me.
Yeah.
That's why I ran with them. Most of the people you won't catch me with because they're not going to come near me. They're afraid of guys like me because they think I'm going to come down and do some crazy stuff. I'm going to just show you what I did.
Yeah.
What I did is a simple, everything laid out there, follow it. Don't start from 12 and work your way up from 11. It says 1. Can you figure out that we're powerless over everything? Not just the booze, the drugs, the alcohol, life.
Yeah.
Well, it's a three-legged stool, so it's the unity, the service, and
The triangle effect is what I call it.
Yeah.
And for me, what kind of got me out of my shell was the service work. My first service position was being a greeter, so that's how I got to know people and get, make friends. And any service position does that. Just being a coffee maker or
ashtrays.
they don't really do the ashtrays
chairs.
anymore. But anything, put yourself out there. What you're willing to do for your recovery is what you get back in return.
And think of the things you were willing to do to get high, right?
Yeah.
Or to drink. I mean, I can tell you that when I quit drinking, I was 21 years old. I was a maintenance blackout drinker, like you would expect a Bowery bum to be. I had to go to bed with booze, right? And I blacked out every single day. They could accuse me of anything. And what is my defense? I don't even remember where I was last night. So I can't help you, officer. So I would wake up in the middle of the night and drink, and I'd have booze there when I woke up in the morning, or I couldn't pick up my coffee cup. I couldn't get my head off the pillow. So the hair of the dog that bit me, really, it was a blessing because it sped up the process, right? So by the end of the last 2 years of my drinking, I don't remember, but I can tell you those years were blessings because I could still be out there, right? I mean, some people go 40, 50 years, but if it was because I started drinking in the morning and I needed to drink in the morning, or other, you could say it, I could not stop drinking physiologically. That was off the table. Now I had to drink all the time. I didn't have to shave yet, but I had to drink all the time. And it's a gift of desperation. So for me, I used to think to myself, it's not fair. I'm 21. I got to go the rest of my life without drinking and drugging. It turns out 31 years later, the biggest blessing of my life to get out of the way. And if I didn't waste the first 18 years of my recovery, it could have made a real difference. So when I see a 25-year-old, you think about the amount of time you should have left to affect lives in a positive way,
Yeah, definitely. My life was saved not only to have a life, but to save another life.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's the biggest blessing I've been given.
And we don't get, as strange as it is, we don't get to keep it unless we give it away, right? And so
Steve, send that money down.
Yeah, Steve, if you would, congratulations, by the way, on hitting that fourth box.
Yeah.
The Godlogic Project is
Looking for donations.
Yes. So we're barely getting by. So that we have PayPal.me/Godlogic Project if you'd like to donate directly to
Send
Godlogic
it to Sarkeesian. Give us your money now. .com.
Hey, you know what we got to do? I cut grass for this guy for like 15 years.
You mean lawns when you say that, right?
Yeah.
Hey, he doesn't mean marijuana, folks. This
not
isn't
a
a
picker.
medical community.
He's not a
That's
trimmer.
what I do. In the beginning, I thought, cutting grass was...
Yeah, so
making
they
fun of
tricked
people
you
who
into
did
that
it.
job, bro.
Cannabis, huh?
So I've been doing this guy's lawn for 15 years, and he comes out and he's like,
good.
I got a friend named Paul. He's in the program. I'd like you to meet him. And I come back the next week, and here I get to meet Paul. Paul's part of 5 brothers who come from Akron, Ohio. That I actually got a chance to meet them all this couple Saturdays ago, Old Time AA out in Tampa, and they come down and they speak together on a panel, and it was something else. They got 41, 42, 50 years, and it's just it was just God was all over, and it was so cool to be able to meet these guys and pick their brain a little bit, and they are just an unbelievable crew of brothers that just got sober, and the first guy led to the next one. The next one, was like 50, 49, 48, 47, and then 43 years.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
I had a friend, and he passed away, but when I knew him, he had 51 years down in Tarpon Springs at a clubhouse, and his sponsor was one of the first 100.
Oh, wow.
And he was obviously old when I knew him, but he had I was there when he had 51, 52, 53 years, something like that. But to think that he was around those first meetings, the first, it was just Ohio and New York in the beginning, it was just Akron and New York City. And people that don't know that, but it's amazing that what these two, if you think about it, these are the guys that started these 12-step programs are 2 alcoholics without a big book and no sponsor, right? And they started this thing that's 12-step programs have saved more lives than penicillin, right? And this is two guys that couldn't keep the plug in the jug till they got together and started helping each other do this thing.
Till one picked up the phone to make that call.
Yep, and then
that was how that happened.
they hooked up and all this. So tell me that God's providence isn't in that, because you can pick the two smartest alcoholics you know, which would probably be me and Sarkis.
That's right.
And so you guys don't know a lot.
You should
So
kick it back a little bit and learn.
but you leave us alone with no big book and no sponsors. And we're molesting vending machines and
We are touching them, caressing them.
So a lot of people don't get arrested. I always thought that it was funny that I got pulled over by a fire engine for drunk driving in New York. And so I thought that was a funny drinking story. So how bad are you driving, by the way, that the fire department thinks maybe we should pull this guy over? I don't see any cops. So, but you actually got arrested for molesting a coin machine. So, and, you know, sometimes coin machines can look pretty good. So I don't blame you necessarily. Matthew.
Yeah. Right.
You were that desperate?
I was really desperate that night.
And Marvin Gaye comes on,
The
nothing there but
bottle
a
of
coin
Old
machine. It
Crow
happens.
was at the end, so I saw that machine, and I said, "Hey, machine, you got what I need. Quarters.
You got what I need."
And
So-
you got multiples."
Pat says coffee makers make it.
I know they do, because that's what I was for the first 3 years, was a coffee maker. And I wouldn't give it up. I like doing it anyways.
So it's good, by the way, to know that my buddy Pat, that's my buddy Pat from, he is a Lincoln Avenue boy. So
What up, Lincoln Avenue?
don't call in, Pat, because these people think I'm a pastor. We don't want to ruin my reputation here. Matt looks up to me. We don't want to really dig into any old stories here on the air. But the Pat was like the guy that called me the other day, one of those 6 or 8 guys that we were always together. And you talk about criminal behavior, and kind of what stunted me was we didn't really talk a lot outside of our circle. So it was us, and then there was other circles of friends at different levels of acquaintance, but it was really just us. So when I quit drinking and drugging, I didn't want to make friends. It took me forever to make friends. I was 37, 38 years old. I had employees and customers. I didn't have a friend in the world. I had nobody to call when I didn't kill myself. I realized I'm halfway through my life. I don't even have any friends yet, right? Everything I had was related to money. I owned a plumbing company. So I had employees and I had customers, I had contracts, subcontractors, that kind of stuff. Guys I subbed to me, I subbed to other people.
A John Gotti type.
That was all. Yeah, that was all of my relationships with people. If it didn't have to do with making money or saving money, I didn't have any real relationships, including with my wife and kids back then. So it was very difficult for me to kind of transition into normalcy, and it took me 17 or 18 years before God saved me again when I didn't kill myself, and this time I wasn't going to waste it, and I dove head first into recovery, became a fixture down at the dry dock, and then again, some chick gets herself pregnant, and I got to raise the kid the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Hey, this is a family show.
2 to tango.
Yeah.
This is a family show, folks. Don't anything he says is really,
Yeah. Try not
suspect.
try not to listen to me too much. I've made every single mistake, like I said, in recovery. But all I didn't do was drink and drug again.
Follow
Right.
not his mistakes and learn from them, and you will not do them.
It seems to me,
Absolutely.
figure out what you don't do well, and then don't do it. I didn't drink
I do
well.
everything well. Sorry.
I mean, it's just time for me not to do it. So God forbid I didn't get as bad as I got. I could be dead. We all could be. So we got to be blessed when we're living in a storage unit. We got to feel blessed when we're
Under a bridge.
under a bridge. We got to feel blessed when we're,
Locked up.
we're
Locked up
showing
in
our
a
mom
cigar.
what suicide looks like. I mean, that's horrifying when you think about that. And it's amazing to me, not just as a pastor, but as somebody in recovery. Most of the time, we don't get enough success stories, right? So the percentages aren't great. So when I get a success story like Matt, I want to be part of that, right? I celebrate that every year with them. It is
Thanks for inviting me.
people on this side of the table. People now, we're all on the same side of the recovery table. We need to see those. We need to see those victories, right, to keep us going. So I found a long time ago, I need to abide in the vine, John 15, abide in that vine and forget about the fruit. If I were going to do the math and think about how many people I spoke to in jails and meetings and everywhere else, and how many really stayed sober, how many even alive? I mean, the percentages aren't great, right? If I went off the fruit, I would have given up a long time ago.
Yeah,
So it
good
is
point.
when you get an opportunity to hear Michelle's story, to hear Sarkis' story, to hear Matt's story, to me, I don't dwell on it, but it does give me a little hope, and it's fun to be part of Matt's story. So Matt and I are like the two village idiots everywhere we go. So
1 and 2 or 2 and 1?
Thing one, thing two.
yeah, so it is an honor and a privilege to be now plugged into the community of recovery, as opposed to just being on the edges of this thing. So I would go to a meeting, I would lie, I would tell jokes, I'd get there late, I'd leave early, I didn't hold hands, I didn't hug, I didn't read the books, I didn't tell anybody about my feelings. I buried my feelings with a shovel, then I buried the shovel. That was it. That's as much as you got. So that kind of thinking almost killed me. So what I would do then, we're gonna wrap up the show here in a minute. We're over an hour, but I encourage you guys to just cease fighting everybody and everything, and just give this thing a chance. And if you can't apply this to your life for 90 days, if the idea of not drinking for 90 days, normal people don't struggle with that thought, right? So if that scares you, there's a problem. There's a real problem. And if it's drugs or if it's alcohol, whatever it is, we know there's thousands and millions of people that know exactly how you feel. And that's hard to believe. But go to a meeting, listen to these people, tell on yourself, raise your hand, tell them you need help, and see if they're not willing to help. And like they say, if you try this for 90 days and it doesn't work, we'll gladly refund your misery.
Yeah.
You can have it all back. I mean, that life is waiting for you. It's waiting for me. I'm 31 years away from my last drink. I'm an arm's length away from my next one.
Yep.
So when I drive back from Land O'Lakes jail, 45 minutes, how many bars, 7-Elevens, how many opportunities do I have to buy alcohol?
There's a dealer on every corner.
Yeah, and it is,
And
especially
it's
in
called
Holiday.
7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We live in Holiday, so there's probably a
Or
dealer in my
Winn-Dixie.
house right now.
Or probably
In your backyard.
they all sell.
Hey,
So-
real quick, just thank everybody out there again. I've got some text messages from family, friends, and
Yeah.
I feel so blessed to be a part of everyone's life, and
I got
just to
nothing.
be active in this whole deal, man.
Yeah, it's a life worth living now
it
for a
really is,
change, and
man.
that is
We have
until you
fun
get to
and
this side, it's hard to understand.
I get to wake up, go to work every day. I get to, put food on the table, raise a 6-year-old kid who never has to see me loaded, and we have fun. I coach him in football.
Yeah,
I got an opportunity to see my kid, who's I haven't seen in a while, which is going to open up doors to hopefully reunite a family of my stepson and him. And God's just all over it.
yeah, it is.
Really is.
Who would have thought, right? Who would have thought that we'd ever bounce back from the lives we live? So this is that's kind of your sound. That's kind of your sign off now. So we're gonna go around the room and really everybody just give a couple minutes of final thoughts or something you'd like to say to. Just say there's a family sitting at home watching this. They got a family member that just won't quit, or they themselves just can't quit. What kind of advice would you give? What would you give a girl that was flirting with suicide? What would you tell a 21 or a 22-year-old that I mean, the thought of a young person killing themselves is astounding to me, right? So what kind of hope would you speak into that? What would you say to somebody in that situation?
Definitely that if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that, just like you said, go to a meeting, tell on yourself, ask for help. Most people are more than willing to help anyone. I'm always more than willing to help anyone, but they definitely want to help themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Got to give you a squeegee, but he don't do windows.
Yeah, if you bring the shovel, God will move the mountain.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and so we're responsible for the footwork, and that's
Yeah.
small ball, man. What do I got to do today to get through today?
Yeah.
And that's how it starts,
And one of my favorite sayings, is anything that's worth doing isn't easy, but if it's easy, it's probably not worth doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
And young Sarkis, take a minute or two and give
Take us out, buddy.
some parting thoughts to somebody struggling to get in recovery.
Haven't we heard enough of him?
Yeah, I've been muting his microphone this whole time. In fact, you're on. Say something.
I've been shut off all night, like at the bars back in the day. My feelings are hurt, but you know what? I'm going to go home and do an extensive 9, 10, 8, 11, 12 step. I'm going to go around and pick up all you drunks at the bar tonight.
Go save him.
I saved no.
Harvard Yard.
I want to take a minute, and just say, this thing can only be done with action, not change. Change is not the action. Action is the change.
Yeah, yeah.
Not change. Anything can change. I can change a light bulb, but it takes action to change the light bulb, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to change, you put the action into the change. We're here. We're not going nowhere. Well, I'm going to go to bed tonight. But anyways, besides that, these guys here and ladies, they're all out there to help you all. I'm here. I say if you want to try this, come in for 24 hours and see what it's like. I don't even put the 90-day mark because that, to me, I'm drinking all day. How many people want to go 90 days? Try it for 24 hours.
Dude, I can go 90 minutes.
Try it for 24 hours. If you like what you saw 24 hours ago, come back for another 24 hours. And if you like it then it adds up to 90, and then boom. Reach out your hand and say, hey, my name is Dickie. I need some help. And then somebody will come and help you. And then the cast of characters will all be put around you like they were all in our lives.
Yep.
That's all I can really say. I mean, those cliches, it works if you work it. I don't believe in it. I believe in put your butt into it and it'll come to you.
Yeah.
The people will be put in your life for the reasons. And you'll have the right people in your life for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Because not everybody in the rooms, I'm cynical, are not winners. Because there are some people out there that are saying they're doing the dance, but they're not really dancing.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And you want to be with the people who are making moves. Legal moves, that is.
And not everybody that comes into the program, and this is what really breaks my heart sometimes, is they want to recover from the consequences of their drinking and drugging. They don't want to recover from the addiction itself. Yeah. So they want their wife back. They want the ankle
They want
monitor
5 minutes.
They want
5-minute recovery.
Yeah.
This isn't microwavable like popcorn. Get right, get tight, stay for the long flight.
Well,
Thank you very much, America. I'm out.
They used to do. They're willing to do what it takes to get the things they want back in their life. And once they don't have those things in their life, once they get those things back in their life, they undo everything that the last year or two has been doing for them. Yeah. So we don't forget where we come from. We don't forget how we got here, right? So
and we do have fun in recovery.
Yeah, we do have too
I get
much
shut
fun.
off everywhere I go.
Yeah.
even my therapeutic group shuts me off.
Well, tonight, I can guarantee you my son and I will be praying for your wife. She's got to be a wonderful woman.
Wife, if you're listening, I'm going to the casino and I'm putting it on black number 10. That is black number 10, and I'm going to keep going east until I hit the Mississippi.
And he'll be under a bridge when you need him.
I'll be under a bridge.
Well,
and we'll buy another house.
That's our show for tonight. No one told you they love you today. God loves you. So do I. So do we. Receive that. Be blessed, and we'll speak soon. Outro music. Thank you for supporting the Godlogic Project. And if no one's told you they love you today, God loves you. So do I. Receive that. Be blessed. We'll speak soon. This has been a Rev Kev production. Your mileage may vary.
Shut up, Kevin.